This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome to this, our November 6 to November 12 episode of Journeys, Chronicles of our 18th century, the story of our region, the story of the Philippines, China, and the other countries in Asia as leader of the world. And as usual, we start with our people and places, about people-to-people relations of the Philippines and China, what is going on with the two cultures and the two nations. Well, this week we visit our Beijing Philippine Embassy and Ambassador Chito Santoromana with the news of the official visit of the Association of Philippine-China Understanding, APCU. This is the oldest Philippine-China people-to-people organization. And former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who is the current chairperson of the revived NGO, the Association for Philippine-China Understanding, APCU, and President of APCU, Gabi Lopez, and Secretary General Pete Arce, who has been our guest to discuss precisely this revival of the APCU. Plus, Rene Velasco, you see in all these pictures posing with Ambassador Chito Santoromana at our Philippine Embassy in Beijing, and with the other officers and staff of the APCU last November 6. So we thank the blog and the website of or the Facebook account of Ambassador Chito Santoromana for the photos and the short write-up on that visit of APCU. And of course, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo is the honorary chair of APCU now. And this is probably one of the fastest growing NGOs or people-to-people organization in the Philippines today. And so we encourage them and we congratulate them for this first visit of theirs under the helms of the honorary chairman, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So let's move on for this week of November 6 to 12 on the news and developments in our region and between China and the Philippines. The most significant of which I am personally very elated about, is the arrival today or tomorrow of Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, who will be making an official visit to President Duterte and our legislature's leadership. This is the official announcement from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs that held a briefing for the Chinese and foreign media on Premier Li Keqiang's attendance at the series of leaders' meetings on the East Asia cooperation and his official visit to the Philippines, which is starting November 12. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a briefing for the Chinese and foreign media on Premier Li Keqiang's attendance at the series of leaders' meetings on East Asia cooperation and his visit to the Philippines. Assistant Foreign Minister Chen Xiaodong and Vice Minister of Commerce Wang Shouwen expounded on the relevant information and answered questions from the Chinese and foreign journalists. Chen Xiaodong expressed that at the invitation of President Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines, the rotating chair of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, Premier Li Keqiang is traveling to Manila from November 12 to 16 for the series of leaders' meetings on the East Asia cooperation, including the 20th China-ASEAN 10+1 Summit, the 20th ASEAN, China, Japan, and Republic of Korea Summit, the 10+3, and the 12th East Asia Summit. During his visit, President Li Keqiang will hold talks with President Rodrigo Duterte and meet with Senate President Aquilino Pimentel and Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Philippines, Pantaleon Alvarez. They will also attend the foundation stone-laying ceremony and the launching ceremony of a project funded and built by, or to be built by China during the visit. The two sides intend to issue a joint statement that reflects the major consensus and achievements of the visit. In the regular press conference of the ministry spokesperson, Madame Hua Chunying, she said that Premier Li Keqiang's visit is of great significance to cementing Philippines-China good neighborly friendship and promoting the steady development of China-Philippines relations. Filipinos' favorable view of China is now 55%, an increase of 80% from the 2012 negative 30. This is the new era. And, well, on the broader front, the relations between the U.S. and China, we have this good news. China and the U.S. inked historic deals worth $253.5 billion. This is from Global Times. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump witnessed the signing of dozens of trade deals with record-breaking volumes in Beijing, which experts say will now narrow the trade imbalance, one of Trump's biggest concerns. On the second day of Trump's state visit to China, a total of $253.5 billion in deals in sectors ranging from agricultural produce to high-tech products were reached, in what Chinese Minister of Commerce Zhong described as a miracle. However, negotiations are still needed to tackle the structural issues that cause the imbalance of trade between the two economies, experts said. The record-breaking deals include a $37 billion deal between American plane maker Boeing and a Chinese plane purchasing agency, and a $12 billion deal for Qualcomm Inc. Incorporated to sell its chips to 3 Chinese handset makers, and a deal between a consortium involving China's top state oil company, China Petroleum Chemical Corporation, to help develop Alaska's liquefied natural gas sector worth up to $43 billion. Gong Ting, Assistant Research Fellow at the China Institute of International Studies, said the massive orders will, quote, set a tone of stability, unquote, to business communities in the two countries and the world as, quote, the volume is unprecedented and the content of the deal is substantial, unquote. And, you know, this will neutralize all the fears of the Thucydides trap, where the rising power gets into a trap of war with the established power. China is making every effort to respond to the complaints it hears from President Trump and the United States, basically on the trade imbalance. Okay, let's move on. This is an item of human interest and also technological interest. It is also an alert and an alarm to our working people and our economists to plan for this future. And that is the introduction of more modernization that will displace old systems of labor. And so we have to prepare our economies and our people for this change. And it is a human interest because the photo will show you that this is already a reality in China. What is this? Well, we'll read the report. Drones deliver packages to Meizhou Island in Fujian province. 3 drones carrying 6 boxes of passion fruit arrived in Meizhou Island on October 31 after flying across the sea from Shan town in Fujian province. It is the first time that China has used drones to deliver packages over water, and it took 9 minutes to make the 5-kilometer crossing. The package was ordered by Zhou Li Xia, a villager on Meizhou Island, on Alibaba's rural shopping platform, Rural Taobao, several days ago. The drains prepared for the Singles Day shopping festival by local rural Taobao and Kainiao network runners greatly shortened the transportation time, and it's expected to ease the problem of poor transportation connecting Meizhou Island with the outside that borders nearly 40,000 residents with massive online shopping requirement. And so that is also an insight for the Philippines to leapfrog technologically into this drone age, where our 7,000 islands can be more easily connected, and deliveries will be much faster rather than by pump boat to the small islands. And when that happens in the Philippines, commerce and trade, manufacturing, agricultural production will also increase, because deliveries to and from these islands, you can imagine deliveries of fish from the islands of Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Estancia in Iloilo, to the centers of consolidation of goods and transportation to the major markets such as Metro Manila and the other metropolises of the Philippines. So again, this drone news is very interesting and should interest us and should spur us to push our economy towards higher levels of modernization. This is not really a threat to our working class, because with this increased trade, internal commerce, you will also expand the demand for labor in production, in the manufacturing sector, in the agricultural sector, even in the services sector, and of course in the technological sector. You have to maintain all these drones, but all this will require retraining of our people. Okay, let's move on. I personally sponsored the Philippine BRICS Strategic Studies Media Forum last November 9, if I am not mistaken. So let's read this report. The Philippine BRICS Strategic Studies, a new Philippine think tank registered with the SEC this year, sponsored a media forum held at the Kamuning Bakery Cafe in Quezon City on November 8, 2017, Thursday, on the subject of ASEAN at 50 geopolitical implications. We have on your screen General Victor Corpus, one of the resource persons I invited, and I will report on the other, the major points he made. This is Ambassador Encomienda, who was the main speaker on the ASEAN and the Philippine involvement with ASEAN. And I'll continue with the report. 4 major resource persons faced the Philippine and international media to discuss the defense and security, the economic and foreign policy implications of the ASEAN 50, and the arrival of many heads of state to attend. Now on your screen is former Undersecretary of Education Butch Valdez, who had a very, very novel call and proposal to President Duterte to convene, to call for a global peace summit in the Philippines. Since, as he said and as reported in media, President Duterte has been able to bridge President Trump with President Xi Jinping, and is also very open with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And anyway, I'll continue. Retired foreign policy expert Ambassador Albert Encomienda expounded on the benefits the independent foreign policy of President Rodrigo R. Duterte has introduced to the world, changing the global situation radically. Retired General Victor Corpus explained the essential security concerns of China that defines its core interest in keeping the South China Sea secure from external powers. And former Education Undersecretary Butch Valdez highlighted the potential role of the Philippines as the world's gateway for peace, given President Duterte's role as bridge between President Trump and President Xi Jinping and the open channel he maintains with the North Korean leadership. The Philippine BRICS Strategic Studies, I presented 2 position papers expounding on the Philippine-China economic project that is soaring and the fading U.S. imperialism and its minions, exposing the lawfare detractors of the Philippine-China entente. And let me just point out that the day prior to this Philippine BRICS sponsored media forum with our friends there, the American-backed Albert Del Rosario Institute, ADRI, had also a similar seminar, but in a very plush place, the Shangri-La. And Albert Del Rosario was quoted by the press as stressing certain points, such as the ASEAN is not exercising leadership in confronting China on the usual issues they raise, complaining that China is pushing against an open door. To that, in our paper, we explained that the ASEAN is, in the first place, a consensus body. It acts on consensus, and the vast majority, even Vietnam today, is not for stonewalling on particular issues, because it is the general issues of concern of all the members of ASEAN that is the basis for its common action. And it is primarily economic and a little less in terms of political issues. Former ambassador of the Philippines, Del Rosario, also, aside from complaining about the lack of resistance to China, complained of the lack of defense preparation in the South China Sea of the Philippines. Well, President Duterte has made it very clear he is not in a confrontational mood with China, and the fact is, as our media forum stressed, the economic projects between the Philippines and China has been soaring, and contrary to several articles that came out in time for the ASEAN, such as one article in Asia Times, is China withholding funds from Duterte, which is very misleading. This is by Bong Sarmiento. And then echoed by the Inquirer editorial of November 4, quoting its title, Promises, Promises, as if China is not delivering. The fact is, the arrival of Premier Li Keqiang, we hope, if security preparations will allow it, Premier Li Keqiang will be laying the cornerstone of one or both, symbolically, both of the two bridges that China is donating, worth $70+ million to help alleviate the traffic in Metro Manila. And then, of course, we were also responding to this article that came out in Business World, November 2. Has our One China policy worked to our benefit, which was sprinkled with so many half-truths and misleading facts, such as this so-called China purchased a mere $3.296 billion worth of goods from the Philippines. Actually, as of 2017, the first half, the Philippines and China are the biggest trade partners already. So, we thank our guests during the media forum, and we have reported this to help clarify all these campaigns to try to disparage the great benefits of the Philippine-China entente. Okay, we will take this break, and we will focus on Philippine-China relations in the next segment.